All that being said, let's go ahead and watch this video from BBC News on U.S. envoy heads for new peace talks with Iran and possible breakthrough. So there's been a lot of conflicting narratives of whether we're negotiating, whether we are entering negotiations again or not. I think Iran has said that they're not going, but I read earlier this morning that maybe they're sending the FM. So I don't know. So this will hopefully maybe catch us up on some of that. So let's go ahead and watch it.
The relationship between the UK and the United States is under further strain tonight after an internal Pentagon email suggested the US could review its position on Britain's claim to the Falkland Islands. It's one of a number of options reportedly being considered as retaliation against allies who Washington believes haven't supported the war against Iran. Downing Street has insisted the sovereignty of the Falklands isn't in question.
Well, what are you going to do about it, Britain? What are you going to do about it? Yeah, I mean, I said before, like a whole bunch of times, that we're not going to stop with Iran. We're not going to stop with Cuba. We're not going to stop with Greenland. We're not going to stop with, I don't know, Australia or whatever the hell comes next. So yes, the UK, you are on the table as well for America's flailing imperial machine lashing out at anybody it can get its grubby little pedo billionaire claws on, you know. So yeah, and like I said, what are you going to do about it, Britain? You don't have any alternative defense agreements. You depend entirely on America for your defenses. So if you really want to protect your Faulkner Islands or whatever it is, you might want to consider diversifying. You might want to consider looking to find another daddy besides Daddy America to protect you, somebody to maybe counterbalance against Daddy America. Maybe, you know, Daddy China might be my recommendation. If you want to start counterbalancing, that would probably be your best bet if you want to maintain any more sovereignty. But yeah.
Meanwhile, the White House has announced that President Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, will travel to Pakistan tomorrow for talks with Iran. Here's our world news correspondent, Joe Inwood.
The fact that war in Iran...
Wait, what?
Here's our world news correspondent, Joe Inwood.
Joe Inward? Come on, dude. You can't have that name. You can't have that name. I will only accept you having that name if you're black. And I don't... We'll see. We'll see.
The fact the war in Iran is now lapping at the shores of this remote archipelago shows just how far its consequences have spread. The Falkland Islands.
What is this? I didn't want to know about the Falkland Islands. The video is about Iran possible breakthrough. Okay, whatever. I guess we're starting out with a video about the Faulkner Islands, people. They really clickbaited me with this title. Let's all learn together.
Territory in the southern Atlantic Ocean. In 1982, Argentinian forces tried to capture them, but were eventually defeated at the cost of 255 British servicemen, 3 islanders, and 649 Argentinian personnel. Now, these islands are at the centre of a diplomatic row within the Western Alliance, after a leaked Pentagon memo suggested that the US could support Argentina's claims on them as punishment for the UK not joining the war in Iran.
Europe and Asia have benefited from our protection for decades, but the time for free riding is over.
It's so stupid.
America
dude.
and the...
It's so stupid. America, these people are so dumb. If you actually believe that this was like a one-way beneficial street of us offering them protection, then you are the dumbest person in the world. This was obviously a mutually beneficial agreement, okay? It was mutually beneficial for America to like offer its protection umbrella to these countries. And in exchange, they would basically give up their sovereignty so that America could, you know, do its like imperial ambitions all across the world. Like that was the deal. That was the deal that we made with them. And so now we're just like scrapping the beneficial part of the deal for the other person, and we're just keeping like the part that's supposed to be like, or like we want them to essentially like be even more vassalized to America, or like give up even more sovereignty and be like, we're not even going to protect you anymore. Like, we're giving up that portion of the deal. That just means that we're just going to lose all of our influence and our soft and hard power when it comes to those countries. So yeah, this is, you know, this is really dumb. They're all so stupid, man. We have a cabinet of buffoons up there.
The free world deserve allies who are capable, who are loyal, and who understand that being an ally is not a one-way street.
It's not only the UK.
No, it is. Now you're saying it is a one-way street. It's just our way or the highway is what you're saying. Yeah, this isn't going to be good for like America's like alliances and stuff. This isn't going to be good for NATO, but I don't like NATO, so I don't really care that much. If I don't know, they're just doing a bunch of stuff. Like I always think about how like people would react if like a Democrat did all of the shit that they're doing right now in the Trump administration. And like the media would be freaking the fuck out if a Democrat did any of this shit. Like if a Democrat started beefing with like our closest allies, if a Democrat started like tariffing our closest allies, if a Democrat started like bringing up the concept of like maybe getting out of NATO, if a Democrat started like buying stakes in like in companies like Intel or whatever that Spirit Airlines and stuff. Like if they did any of this shit, the media would fucking freak the fuck out. They would be like, these are socialist communists who are trying to destroy the American capitalist system that has kept us safe from communism for over 100 years. How dare they? But then when Trump does it and when fascists do it, they're like, oh, I guess it's okay. Like, it's so funny to me, man. It's crazy. We live in a crazy world. But like, it is funny that they are essentially doing like all of my wildest dreams of like destroying the American empire. They are doing it at a record pace, man. It is awesome. It is awesome to see. Yeah, let's destroy NATO, please. I really would love that. I would love it so much. Please keep threatening me with a good time. I love it.
The self-styled Secretary of War was taking aim at. The leaked memo also suggested that Spain, a fierce critic of the attack on Iran, could be kicked out of NATO.
Well, we don't base our work on emails. We base it on official documents and the stance taken in this case by the US government. The Spanish government lies, but always within the framework of international law.
The British government was equally dismissive of the suggestion in the memo, saying in a statement, the Falkland Islanders have voted overwhelmingly in favour of remaining a UK overseas territory, and we've always stood behind their right to self-determination and the fact that sovereignty rests with the UK.
You can't have sovereignty if you don't have a way to defend that sovereignty. Not in a might makes right world, baby. You gotta be able to. You gotta start doing the Iran strategy if you want to keep your sovereignty. You got to start building up tons and tons of missiles that can reach, you know, all of the strategic waterways around your area and all of your neighbors and grind the system to a halt, and then maybe you will have some semblance of sovereignty. But no, you don't just get sovereignty now. You don't. That's not the way the world works anymore. We're back in the era, like the new era of like neo-imperialism, neo-colonialism. So if you can't protect your territory, then you can't do anything about it. That's the way that the world works now. That's how America, that's the direction that America is going. And because nobody can counterbalance America, that's the direction the world is going.
In truth, this is not a story about the Falkland Islands, but about the continued diplomatic consequences of the US decision to start a war in Iran without consulting its allies and then blame them for not joining in. Bringing it to an end is now the main focus in Washington. And tonight, it's been announced that more peace talks will take place.
We hope progress will be made, and we hope that positive developments will come from this meeting, and we will see. And the president, the vice president, the secretary of state will be waiting here in the United States for updates, and the vice president, I understand, is on standby and will be willing to dispatch to Pakistan if we feel it's a necessary use of his time.
Tonight, as the Iranian delegation arrives in Islamabad, there is at least the possibility of progress towards peace, however remote. But it's not just old enemies with whom diplomacy will be required. Joe Inwood, BBC News.
Well, let's get the latest from Gary O'Donoghue, who's in Washington. What more are we hearing, Gary, about those talks in Pakistan?
Well, I think they're approaching these talks with a good deal of caution here in Washington. They are sending Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, as we know, but they are not at this stage sending the Vice President, J.D. Vance, as they did 2 weeks ago when that first round of talks ended in complete failure. Now, the planes were on the tarmac earlier this week, ready to go. They were put back in the hangar because there wasn't perceived to be any progress. And the president gave Iran a pause, an indefinite ceasefire extension to come up with what he said was a unified proposal. Now, we don't know whether there is such a unified proposal at this stage. We know that things have got worse in terms of the Strait of Hormuz, and they're still at loggerheads over things like Iran's nuclear capabilities and their proxies in the region. But, Jane, as someone once said, jaw is better than war. And there's certainly a focus here.
That's the most British shit I've ever heard. Jaw is better than war. Okay, dude, sure. Oh, there goes the audio.
Way out of this conflict for both the president.
That phrase both broke me and broke the technical, like the tech equipment too, apparently.
And the country.
Gary, thanks very much. Gary O'Donoghue in Washington, D.C. Apologies, we lost some of the sound there too, Gary. Israel has launched more attacks on southern Lebanon, accusing Hezbollah militants of firing rockets in order to sabotage a ceasefire that's been extended for 3 weeks. Since March, the Lebanese Health Authority says more than 2,000 people have been killed in Israeli strikes. And according to the UN, more than 1 million have had to leave their homes. Our Middle East correspondent Hugo Beshega reports from southern Lebanon.
She fled her village in fear, moved to Beirut thinking she would be safe. But an Israeli airstrike there killed her earlier this month. Zahra was 26. Her body was only brought back home and buried 2 days ago. Ali, her brother, came to play verses of the Quran for her.
It's very sad.
The hardest thing in life is losing someone from your family. That's the hardest thing.
There is now a ceasefire, but just moments ago we could hear a drone flying overhead.
The war never ends with Israel. There was a ceasefire agreement. But listen, you can hear the drones. And if you stay long enough, you can still hear airstrikes. There's not really a ceasefire.
Yeah, Israel doesn't know the meaning of the word ceasefire. They will never cease firing. Until they are physically constrained with force, they will never stop firing on all of their neighbors. That's just the way that they are.
Being devastated by the war and seems unable to stop it. Israel has continued with its airstrikes, saying it is targeting Hezbollah, which for decades has fired rockets into Israel. And now Hezbollah is attacking again.
What a framing, dude. For decades it's been firing rockets into Israel. You forgot the whole part that Israel, Hezbollah was created because of Israel's constant trying to expand their territories into Lebanon, a long time ago. Hezbollah didn't just spring up out of nowhere to start attacking Israel. They're a resistance force that was born out of these exact types of situations right now. When you orphan every single child in an area, you're inevitably going to create a resistance force like Hezbollah. So yeah, that's a little bit of an interesting framing to put on it, BBC.
This village is 10 minutes from what the Israeli military calls the yellow line, and it isn't safe for us to get any closer. But that is the part of Lebanon that is now occupied by Israeli troops, and we still don't know when or if they're going to pull out.
Yeah, they won't. They won't unless Hezbollah pushes them out, which Hezbollah will push them out eventually. But it's just, it's going to take time.
Homes and hopes lie in ruins here. Najjar takes us to her house, damaged in the last war and damaged again by this one.
We don't have nerves anymore. I can't take it anymore. What should we do? Where should we go? We don't want war anymore. That's enough. We are exhausted.
Well, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it. Israel is still there, so there's nothing you can do about it. I'm sorry. I mean, it does suck. I am like truly sorry for these people, but until Israel is restrained by America, then this is going to just keep happening forever.
The ceasefire has been extended, but lasting peace remains elusive. This is a land that has seen many rebirths because of wars. And once more, its people are being forced to start again. Hugo Bashega, BBC News.
Yeah. Israel is the, well, I guess America is probably the largest state sponsor of terror, but Israel is the largest terror organization that has ever existed, as far as I'm aware. I mean, the IOF has like hundreds of thousands of people in it. I don't know if there's ever been a terrorist organization as big as the IOF. So, yeah, well, there you go. We caught up a little bit. Let me see if I can find any more Iran news real quick. I'll pull it up so you guys can look. Iran news. Iran making an offer, according to NBC. Holding talks. What else? What else? Anything else new? Okay. Let's go ahead and see what this one's about. President Trump says Iran is making an offer to the US. We'll see. I mean, this is probably just Trump speak, so I don't know if this is going to have anything actually new in it, but let's see what they're talking about here.
Tonight, Iran's new move amid tight security here in Pakistan. The Iranian foreign minister arriving to restart talks. President Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, and son-in-law, Jared Kushner, also traveling here soon, the White House says.
Look, the Iranians reached out, as the president called on them to do, and asked for this in-person conversation.
In an interview tonight, President Trump says the Iranian regime is making an offer and will have to see, while Iran says the foreign minister will speak to Pakistani officials and no meeting is scheduled with the US. The abrupt shift by Iran to return to Pakistan comes as the Iranian regime is facing growing economic pressure from the US blockade of Iran's ports.
I don't think that has anything to do with it, to be honest. I really don't think that the blockade has anything to do with it. I think that they wanted to, you know, they want to remain open to negotiations. It's, you know, like, I think it's beneficial for them both diplomatically in terms of like eventually they're going to have to negotiate a end to the conflict, but also in terms of like appearances to the rest of the world. How they're portrayed to the rest of the world by showing that they're open to negotiations, all that good stuff. Like, I think that whether the blockade was there or not, they would be here. Like, it's silly to say that the blockade had anything to do with them going to the negotiating table. And I said that they were going to go to the negotiation, or they would probably end up sending some sort of delegation to the negotiations. And so... yeah, my assessment of that had nothing to do with the blockade, though. It was purely because that would be, you know, that's how Iran usually operates. Like, so, okay, cool, though.
Iran losing an estimated $435 million in oil revenue per day, according to the Trump administration.
Iran will never get a nuclear bomb. The choice is theirs, but with this blockade, the clock is not on their side.
34 ships have been turned around by US forces, CENTCOM says, and posting for the first time in decades, 3 aircraft carriers are operating in the Middle East at the same time. President Trump said,
my tax dollars.
Without the ability to sell its oil, Iran will soon run out of space to store it.
You know who's under time pressure? They are. Because if they don't get their oil moving, their whole oil infrastructure is going to explode.
Back here in Islamabad, the Iranians have arrived without the...
I mean, they can still sell oil. Like, I don't understand what they're talking about. Number one, like, there are likely shadow fleet vessels going through. I don't think America is capable of blocking every vessel. If a bunch of them are coming through, I don't think they're capable of that. But so I've heard reporting of that. I don't know for sure. It hasn't been like confirmed by America, but of course it wouldn't be confirmed by America anyway, even if it was true. So so there's that. But there's also like they can sell oil over land routes. It's just less efficient. And also oil makes up like 10 to 20% of their GDP. GDP doesn't matter in times of war, in a wartime economy. Like losing 10 to 20% of their GDP, okay. Like I think Ukraine also has lost 10 to 20% of their GDP during the war. They're still doing just fine. Like I don't know. That's a silly assessment in my book. Iran's going to be fine with or without the blockade. Now, the rest of the world, well, if there's not actually enough oil getting out, the rest of the world will have a much harder time than Iran will.